I'm back like a hemorrhoid. Anyways, I was talking to a copper and told him a little project I was working on, so I told him I'd do a video about it. And it started out as a cheap rear disc brake upgrade. My car originally was drum brakes. The drum's still here. Backing plate's still hanging on the line. We'll get to discussing that in a few minutes. But we're going to newer disc brakes. And we're using, which I'll have to send him the link, see if he can include it in the description. But Nasty Z28 forum has a whole thread about doing this. And I read about it years ago on ROP.com. Somebody put the link on there. And, well, actually, it's RealOldsPower.com, not ROP, but that's what we call it. Anyways, I read it on there, and it's like, actually, it's a really inexpensive, good idea. Well, it is if you reuse a lot of parts. And it sounds good in theory, but I get lazy, and then I buy all new parts. That's my problem. But what I like is it's all OEM parts. I can go to any parts store or Amazon or eBay or whatever and get the parts I need to make it work. So my rear end is not stock. It's got a spool in it. That's a 33 spline spool. And I had to go to, and I found this out the hard way after I had the spool and everything else, to our big bearing Ford for the axle bearing. It's a press-on Mosier axles. You'll get a better look at them in a minute. But I had to have housing ends put on for the bigger thing. So everything I do has to be machined to fit. You can't just take it off the Blazer rear end and put it in. I have to, and luckily I have good friends that take care of me. But I had to have this machined out to fit over the bearing, which we'll get to. And then I got impatient and I took the die grinder to make those fit. But anyways, that's the long and short of it. Cleaned up, painted. I've actually trial fitted everything. So we're actually ready to go together, at least with this side. But I wanted to show you guys the brake drum that came off the car. And this same thing, I was younger and dumber, really opened the holes up, had to grind this lip to fit on the axle. Yeah, it is what it is. But if you use the old parts, which is what you're supposed to do to help save money, you use the bracket I just showed you. The backing plates are always rotted away. These are your inner parking brakes, which we're not going to use anymore. These are your factory brackets. This one, yeah, one's froze up, and I'm like, I'm just going to go ahead and buy brackets. Going to go ahead and buy the calipers too. They weren't that much money, but it's all money out of pocket. So I bought the whole Blazer rear end when it had a posi unit and a 373 gear for, I believe it was a 7.5. But regardless, I bought for the brakes for 150 bucks. I sold the posi, actually I sold the whole rear end to somebody for 75, so I had $75 in the other parts. And then I bought the backing plates new, and then I'm like, no, I'm going to get drilled and slotted rotors, new calipers, new brackets. It all adds up. I probably could have bought a cheap eBay kit, but the big thing, and like I tell other people, is everything is OEM. It's Blazer brackets, Blazer everything. I can go down to the store and buy anything I want that I need. So let's get to the easy part here. Well, semi-easy, putting it together. So we have to, don't have to put them together, but I'm going to make sure I put them on the right way. Slide these on the axle shaft, and as you can tell, it just fits over the bearing. And then slide this in. I actually just installed a new gear. We pulled the rear end apart and found out I had a broken carrier bearing, which was allowing it to slop around and was going to cause more problems. Nothing had broke yet, but it was going to. Now this, for mine, because mine's a bolt-in axle, or what they consider the bolt-in style axle, basically a 9-inch forward bearing, this has to go on first. push that in. Ah, damn it. Get that lined up. Everything has to go in a certain order, in a certain way, to get everything on and lined up. I've trial fitted all of this already, just to make my life simpler. I checked everything before I painted anything, and I actually already shimmed or figured out what shims I'm going to need to make the caliper sit in the center. How long are we getting on the video, Josh?
5:42.
Okay. Let me know when we get to about 8 minutes. So we can get that on. And then get the backing plate. I've had a few discussions with some friends of mine. And they're like, oh, you don't need backing plates. It's more weight. I like the look. It's more complete, in my opinion, with the backing plates. But everybody's allowed to have their own opinion. I am not going to put the parking brake stuff in there. I got the cables, but they're not really hooked to anything past here. So that's all coming off. And then the Moser ends come with like nuts with the serration on the back to put this together. All right, on these brake rotors, it says rear driver side, and then the passenger side. It has a setup for the parking brake. Like I said, I'm not running it. They're a little snug, but they fit nice. And then, just for the sake of argument, I always put 2 lug nuts to hold it square. Nice and square. I don't know if I mentioned on the last portion we just recorded, if that we went ahead and we changed the gear in this. It's now went from a 410 to a 430. We're going to try that out this year, see how it likes it. Got all kinds of stuff just laying here that I gotta make sure and remember before I put it together. Like the little slides are a lot easier to put in now than with the brake rotor in the way. Not that I would know, but they won't go in with the brake rotor in the way. And this one's bent a little bit from trying. And like I said, I pre-fitted everything because this is not a kit, and even kits, if you read the instructions, you have to put the bracket on and then measure to set where the bracket sits. So, 2 washers, 2 flat washers is the proper spacing for this caliper bracket to sit center on. Yeah, somebody painted all the threads in there. I wonder who that could have been. Oh. But if you look, that caliper bracket is pretty much centered on the brake rotor, within close. I measured it with a tape last time and made sure it was pretty damn close to being centered on there. And then because I like nicer stuff, yes, I could have used the factory hoses, but the All-Star bracket kit with the steel braided hoses and everything for a metric caliper, in my opinion, is a nice touch. Yeah, it takes away from the cheap, but this whole project, like I said, once I started buying all kinds of nice stuff because I got lazy, pretty much went away from the cheap. And being that I have them here, I can look at them. Okay, that does close the back. But put all your hardware in there. I know I think sometimes, what do we need all this stuff for? But it's in there for a reason. So I always try to put it back in. And then the rotors, when I bought them, there's more hardware because the rotors came with hardware. The rotors came with hardware. Then the calipers came with hardware. So I have all kinds of hardware. And these are the pads that came with the rotors. So these obviously are the ones I'm going to run with the rotors. And then always make sure you lube at least your pads where they slide with some kind of ceramic paste or whatever, you know, brake caliper paste. Do your slides, do everything so they move. I've known many people who don't use this, and then when their pads stick, they're like, why? So I bought this big jar a long ass time ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago. And it's getting a little thin now, but also try not to, and I stress the word try because I'm never successful. Try not to get it all over the rotor. And we're not completely done with this project yet, and not going to be even tonight. I still have to finish mounting the hoses. I got little tabs in that kit I got to mount, and then make lines, remove the backing plates because, well, I just haven't done that yet. Things have been crazy. Things have been busy. I'm going to take that little tab, and then they give you the tab and then a clip to hold the hose. I'm going to weld that probably in here somewhere on the rear end so it holds it, you know, where it'll be nice and there'll be a straight shot to the T, and, you know, where it'll be nice and there'll be a straight shot to the T, and clean all that up, then bleed the brakes, and do all kinds of fun stuff to make it work right. Got all kinds of fun stuff laying here. Been an ongoing project, like I said. Changed the rear end gear, found out the one bearing, which I don't have here. It's at the machine shop. I took it to press it, but it was walking back and forth. It wore into the actual shim itself and was spinning a little bit on that one, and then the shim on the other side is beat up. There was a bunch of shavings and trash in it. The rear end was on its last couple of legs before it was going to go kaboom. So we got that done. But anyways, just a quick little thing about how to put this together. My opinions, my thoughts, you know, just what it is. Also, while we're doing the brake upgrades, I figure I'll talk about this. I didn't shoot any video of it because it's already done, but this is early to mid 80s Mopar master cylinder. It's a 7/8 bore. We're going to switch over to this. It's an aluminum body, plastic reservoir, much lighter than this old. It's supposed to be the proper one for my car for manual disc brakes in the front and drum in the rear. It looks more like a double disc from like that or something, but it is what it is, and it's heavy. So we're going over to this. I haven't finished the lines or anything. I actually kinked one line moving the master like that. I got to fix, but this is a little project we're working on, but it's not a direct bolt-on for my car. I had to drill out the mounting holes a little bigger and then massage them a little bit with a die grinder to make them fit, but everything else works good. Push rods back in. We just got to finish it up. There's a lot of little unfinished things. Just like we're going from the big heavy aluminum radiator to a smaller aluminum radiator I got off a friend of mine. We just got to get the proper size hoses because this hose is a little too big, and get a new lower radiator hose. With the E85, the car runs much cooler and you don't need as much water or as much cooling because it's just a waste of weight and space. So the car, I honestly had problems keeping the car at 180 degrees last year with the E85. So that's it for now, and I'll let you guys go. Alright, one more thing to kind of wrap things up, tie things up. No, it's not done. I showed you I got to weld the bracket, got to make the line, get the lines and everything hooked up. I'm going to tighten these a little tighter. Actually, probably pull them out, put some Loctite on them. Don't know for sure. Don't normally do that, but it is my baby. So we'll see. Got that to tie up. Got the master cylinder, like I showed you, to tie up the radiator. A lot of little crap that will take some time, but most of it's done. Like I said, the gear just got installed, but I'm going to shoot some more videos when I get to finishing the rest of it or working on the rest of it. But that ain't going to be till probably this weekend. Work schedule, stuff going on, yada, yada, yada. Going to try to get to it, finish this weekend. I really want to take the car next Sunday to 41, which is a week from this Sunday, which is a week from Mother's Day, which is the 15th. Trying to remember what the date was. Was hoping to go racing all weekend, but now I have something I have to do Saturday, so hoping to go Sunday for the first points race down there. But I'll let you guys go. I won't drone on forever. Maybe I will. Who knows? But anyways, hope you guys liked it. And obviously, I got the other side to do too, but I ain't going to video it. We put it together. Yes, I know. I'm droning on. But, all right. We'll talk to you guys later. All right, guys. I thought about this last night after I made the videos that wanted to make a couple of notes on some stuff I've learned and didn't think about mentioning. Number one, when you get the disc, the actual rotor, not the disc, but the rotor, I guess it's kind of a disc, but get the rotor, you need a two-wheel drive rotor to make it work right. And I was thinking, well, why didn't I use the stock rotors? Well, that's why they were four-wheel drive rotors, which is like 2 inches farther out to the flange to where the actual caliper mounts, and it's too tall to fit the stock axle. I mean, I guess you could probably somehow make it work, but it's way too tall. So that's why I had to get different rotors, and that's something worth mentioning. Also, on my car, I have taken the stock proportioning valve off of it and put an adjustable All-Star on it, teed the front, and then just run an adjustable All-Star proportioning valve to the rear when I put the disc brakes on the front years ago, because my car was originally manual brake, 4-drum, you know, run-of-the-mill brake system. So from the 70s, you know, like you go in now and you tell somebody you got front drums and they look at you like you're crazy at the parts stores. Don't you mean front disc? No, my car's front drum, but it's not anymore. So just a couple of thoughts I had on it. I unfortunately don't have any pictures on my phone that I can send of my proportioning valve, and obviously I'm not at my car. I'm in my car at work, but completely different car. So anyways, just a couple things I thought of, wanted to make mention of, especially that you have to use a two-wheel drive rotor for the Blazer. You can't use a four-wheel drive rotor because it's too tall. I mean, like I said, yeah, I'm sure somehow you could use it and I'm wrong, but two-wheel drive rotor, the hatch shorter fits in there much nicer. Like I said, I had to use 2 washers to space the caliper bracket. But anyways, we'll talk to you guys later.